Muted.
Okay. All right, so this is a webinar where I'm going to point out some of the highlights of the new version upgrade that you either just got in your system or that you will be getting over the next 2 weeks. And just know that I'm going to be showing more of the major highlights. You might see some minor things as well, but as you kind of go through your day-to-day work, but we're going to just touch on some of the more obvious or bigger changes. And then if you're having a problem or an issue with any functionality, we're not going to go over that in this webinar or troubleshoot. We want you to open a support ticket for those. And just keep in mind that if it's an issue that's preventing, severely preventing you from getting your work done on a daily basis, those are the kinds of things that we're fixing immediately. And then things that are a little more minor in nature or cosmetic, those are going to be addressed mid-August after we're finished upgrading everyone. So don't think if there is a minor issue that hasn't been fixed yet, doesn't mean that we don't have it on our list, doesn't mean we're ignoring it. We're just waiting, and we're just trying to do the major things first so people can get their daily work done. And if you have any trouble with any of the functionality and you want to ask questions or want more help with it, then I would suggest you going to open office hours with your question, and then more than happy to delve more deeply into that particular topic. Any questions so far? Okay, well, we will keep going. So first, we're going to take a look at the dashboard. So we're using a different theme that than or a lot of people were used to using. Different clients were using different themes or visual display for their back office database use. So now everyone is now using the same display. You have a choice of having your create new recent items buttons up here like I have them, or off to the left-hand side where people were used to having them. And I think for the most part that's where they've been put. But if you want them moved to the top so that you have a more expansive view, you don't have the big white space down the left side, we can easily move these for you, or you could see here, you probably can do it yourself just by configuring the block and changing the location. So just so to know that those can easily be moved. And there are 3 blocks there that you can have. There's create new, there's recent items, and then there's also create new individual. It's a bigger block that has first name and last name and email on it. So some people like to have these. Some people want less clutter on their dashboard. So you can just let us know if you need it changed from what you have. Any questions?
If you want to move your recent items from the left-hand side up to the right, where would you find it if you don't have that create new block on your dashboard at this current time?
Well, it's actually in your website controls. So I don't know if you have like a working knowledge of the website area. It might not be too hard for you to navigate. But if not, you can open a ticket and we will help you with it. So if you go to your website And under Appearance and Settings, the theme that's being used for your database is Civi CRM Bootstrap. So if you click on that, actually that's not what I want to go to Structure, Blocks, and then Civi CRM Bootstrap. So then Blocks, Structure, Blocks, Civi CRM Bootstrap, and then you would configure the blocks just like you would any other part of your website. So you could see right now I have JManage Create New Record and JManage Recent Items on my top bar. So if you want them, if yours are on the left, they're down here under Primary. So if you want to put them on the top bar, you can just move them to a different region.
So if you, this is per user, so you'd have to change it for each user, correct? Or is it for all of the users?
No, this is for all users. It's global.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to go back into the database. The next thing that I just wanted to highlight was under Advanced Search. So if I click Search, Advanced Search, you'll notice that the layout is slightly different. It's a little more organized, so things are easier to see where they are, and they're grouped a little more logically. Search and Trash is a little more visible. It was kind of buried, but now it's easily seen. That's one of the changes that you'll see. There is, I looked through all of them, and the only small change I saw with all of the options is that under demographics, you have a minimum and maximum age box. You know, that kind of functionality is under life cycles birthdays. It was never over here before. So you're able to, for instance, search for everybody who is over 65 or under 18 from the advanced search, which you weren't able to really do before unless you put in, you figured out the actual birth date, year, and put in a range. So that makes it a little easier to get that information from the advanced search screen. Now, if I bring up, let's say, a group and click search, you'll notice that the actions drop down is now alphabetized. So it also a little more logical, a little more organized, so that you can find things more easily. Most of the options are similar to what they were. The wording might be slightly different. The one that might be the most different, I think, is the print one. The print to PDF is now called print merge document. So they're pretty much the same, just a little bit easier to find. And if you, let's say, choose print merge document, you don't have to click search or go straight to this. And one thing we are working on, the software is now allowing an export to Word and to OpenOffice. Some people have been having a little bit of trouble with the Word export, that the formatting isn't completely accurate or exactly what's in this box, the way it would go to a PDF. We are looking into that, but just so you know that people have asked for that functionality of exporting to Word, so we'll give you an update when it's working more to what we think it should be working. the way that we think it should be working. Any questions on that? No? Okay, so another thing that I think you might have been on me. Did anyone have any questions? Okay, so the next thing we're going to go to is finances. And if I go to batch data entry, so previously you could, if you had a pile of checks, you could enter records for a batch of people all at one time, so you didn't have to go into each individual record. But there was no way to do that for a pledge. So now there is that functionality. So if I create a new batch, instead of making it contribution, I can make it pledge payment. Click save. And then I can put in pledges in batch through a whole list, just like I used to, was still and am still able to do with contributions. So that just makes it easier if you have a whole group of people for whom you need to apply a pledge in this way. Any questions about that? Any questions? Okay. So if I go to mailings, new mailing, you may have noticed on the mass mail screen that things are again a little more organized. The tabs are done similar to the way you configure an event or a contribution page. So you don't have to keep clicking through, especially if there's a page that you're not changing, it's not necessary for you to fill out. You just have to come up here and click the tabs instead if you're looking to click something. So if I want to add an attachment, I can just click there. If I want to add a special message to my header and footer, I can click here. If I want to make it a public page, I can click here, but it's always default to user and admin only. The responses, opt out, resubscribe, these types of messages. You can put a specific message in here. Please click here to opt out of our email, something like that. So then you don't necessarily have to go up here to mailings and headers and footers and edit the HTML up in that area. And then there's the tracking and click-throughs are checked by default. So a lot of these you don't even have to address, and you don't have to click through anymore. And then down here at the bottom, you have your send a test email and send a test mail to a group. And then the only time you're really clicking next is when you're ready to schedule or send your email. Any questions about that? There's one other mailing feature that's kind of interesting. I don't know if it's something synagogues typically would use, but it might be something that you could consider using. It's called A/B testing. So what that means is that it allows you to send like 10% of the people in the group that are supposed to get this email 2 different subject lines, or oh here, easier to see if I click on new A/B test. So you could send 2 different subject lines, 2 different from email addresses, or 2 completely different emails. And so let's say 5% will get one, 5% will get the other, and then the rest of the people will get the one that was most opened by the test group. So it's kind of a fancier mass mail type of functionality that allows you to really target specific groups and figure out what ways of sending things are more effective for you.
So would you define these 2 test groups? I'm unsure of what you meant.
No, basically what it does is you don't have to define 2 groups at all. You would just say, let's say I'm testing 2 subject lines, and then I click next, and then it says who are the groups what's the group that I'm sending to, who are the recipients, and then I can use a template or compose a message, and then I send it. And so if I'm sending to 100 people and I'm testing 10%, then 5% will get subject line A, 10% will get subject line B, and then whichever one wins, basically, whichever one gets opened more frequently, the other 90 people will get the one with that subject.
And that happens automatically? Like at what point in time do 80% get theirs? Within a day, or like how long do the 10% have to open that email?
You know, I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know what the timing is. I just know it's a I can find out. I don't know. Any other questions on that? If there's one thing that I don't have an answer to, what I'll do is I'll email everyone who is on the call once I find out the answer. Okay, so now if I go to events, we'll look at some different things in the events area. So you could see here something everyone was really waiting for. That's now here at the end of the configuration of an event called repeat an event. So if I click on repeat, I can set up, like, let's say a year's worth of Shabbat. So that repeat every Friday at 7:30 every week, and you can have it end after a certain number of occurrences or end on a particular date. And then the other cool feature is that you can also exclude dates. So if you know that there are dates that it's not going to happen, you don't have to go to the long list and delete that particular date. You can exclude from the repeating event. So I know everyone was waiting a long time for that, and it's finally here. Any questions?
Yay.
And then the other thing is, there were, I don't know how many people were using scheduled reminders, but those were kind of sketchy in terms of their functionality, but those work perfectly now too. So when you set up an event, you can set up a reminder to go out. Oops, sorry about that. You can set up a reminder to go out anytime before the event, anytime after the event. You can have it repeat. And this will, and you can send your own, specific message. And you can also send it as an email or as a text message. So if you have the text messaging capability, you can have this kind of message repeat as a text as well. Any questions about that? Okay. All right. So if I go to, this is just a small thing, but if I go to Administer, Customize Data and Screen, and I go to Display Preferences, and I scroll down to WYSIWYG Editor, I can now click on Configure Editor. So you can decide like what little buttons you want in your editor. So if you don't use all these and they're cluttering up your editor, you can uncheck some of the boxes. Like, I don't use strike through, I can take it away. I don't use subscript, I can take it away. Or if some are not added on yours, this is where you could come and add them. And you can also change the order on the toolbar. So let's say you want something to show up in a different order. You could just click here and it will move up. So it's just a little more user-friendly and giving you the ability to change those things as opposed to having us control that for you. So now I'm going to go to reports. So you'll notice that in reports, it's very similar to the changes in the mass mail area. It's not so much that there's the changes in the reports themselves, although there may be some extra columns that might not have been there as an option before. But for the most part, the changes in that it's a tab-based setup, like the rest of the system. So it's much less cluttered. So you pick your columns, you can pick your sorting, just like you could before. It's just that if you don't need to, you don't have to see it, and you don't have to click on the tab. You can click on filters, and you get to your filter area just like before, and then title and format, where you can give your report a title, and you could click on email delivery, and you can send the report to somebody. Then there's a higher level type of area that is available, where one, you can include the report in the navigation menu, which you had before. You can also use permissioning to give specific people permission to see this report. So let's say you only want the person with bookkeeping permission to see the report, then you can click on Bookkeeper Add, and then the only person that's going to be able to access it in the reports area is the person with the bookkeeper role. Again, too, you can add it to your own reports, just to yourself, not to anyone else. You can make it available for the dashboard as well. And limit dashboard results just means that if you've got a report with hundreds of lines, it's only going to limit what you can see on your dashboard to a certain number of lines, and you have to click through to the report to see the rest of it. And then the actions for the report are now in an actions drop-down where you can save, print to PDF, export, or delete. So it's more of a cleanup in terms of being able to just navigate through it more easily.
Dina, where is it that you specify to email this report on a regular basis?
So that's something you do in scheduled back in the administer area. That's always been somewhere else under scheduled jobs. It's a little more high level.
Okay, thanks.
I'll just show it to you, but I won't go through it. Mail reports.
Right, but there was a place, I thought it was where you showed me, whereby you say email this report weekly or monthly. Isn't it on the report itself? Because you create a report and then you specify, I want this report to go to my bookkeeper on a weekly basis.
No, I think it's in here. It's here. It's here.
Got it. Great. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. What else? Oh, the last thing that I wanted to show you was activities. So or scheduled reminders for other things. So I can go to administer and customize communications and scheduled reminders. And this is also a problem area that's now working too. And you can do some interesting things with it. For instance, not just reminders about a particular event, but let's say a reminder about maybe an activity. So let's say you want to send a reminder to a group of people. So let's say it's your B'nai Mitzvah student. You can set it up so that this group of people gets a reminder repeatedly about something specific. So you can select a group, you can put the group, they can get, an email every Friday reminding them to come to religious school on Sunday. It can also be set up as a text message as well. So this could be handy for all kinds of things. whether it's an activity, maybe it's a board meeting. So set it up to remind the board, a day before the board meeting every month that it's happening. There's also, you can also, because of that new demographic functionality in the advanced search, you could set up a birthday smart group. It's also possible using this functionality to set up a automated birthday message. So, for instance, everyone who has a birthday coming up in perpetuity will receive some kind of birthday message template that you set up. So that's something else that you can create in this area. So I think you could be really creative in terms of the kinds of reminders that you send out, how often they go out, and whether they go to someone's email or via text. Questions about that?
Can you do it also for yahrzeit dates or just birthdays?
No, this doesn't not just birthdays. You still need to use the regular yahrzeit area for that.
So if I'm saying for automatic schedule reminders.
No. Any other questions?
I'm sorry to keep talking on this. I want to make clear, there's no way to schedule a reminder to send out an automatic message if someone has a yahrzeit or ahead of their yahrzeit at this time.
No, we have one client who had a customization done. They paid for an extensive customization to have auto yahrzeit sent out. It's possible, but it requires customization.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Comments?
Just one question. I'm a little confused about SchulSuite versus JManage. Have we changed the name of it? Because I see.
Yes.
So is that official that it's called now JManage?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's when we send out the notification that you were moving to a new system. Well, actually, maybe the first group of people didn't get it. We added it to the second group, but it now says that the name of the software has been changed. Okay, well, if there aren't any other questions or comments, that's all I have. Thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it, your interest. And again, please open a support ticket or come to open office hours if you have any issues or need more help.
Thanks,
Thank
Dina.
you. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye.